Okay, welcome everyone. We'll call this meeting to order and welcome everyone that's in the gallery tonight joining us. And we welcome those that are participating from home through Zoom. That's terrific that you're involved. And we'll ask everyone to make sure their phones are on mute or turned off for this meeting so they don't disturb the conversation. And we'll ask everyone to rise for O Canada, please. Thank you, everyone, and we'll begin our meeting with our land acknowledgement here, please. As we gather, we are reminded that the municipality of South Huron is situated on Treaty 29 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. And as a community, we have a responsibility to honor and respect this territory's significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it and whose practices and spiritualities were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. In the spirit of reconciliation and truth, we acknowledge the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples on whose traditional territory we're meeting. And we thank everyone, and we move on to item number 2. Ms. Masuha-Collison, please.
That South Huron Council approves the agenda as presented.
And a mover, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 6. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof from members of council. Mr. Neeb, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor Finch. Item 14.1, Avon-Maitland District School Board meeting highlights the general nature being that I'm an employee of the Avon-Maitland District School Board.
Thank you for that. Okay, no presentations on number 4, and we'll move to our delegations. We welcome Ms. Baird Jackson. Welcome. You can come on down now if you like. And so you have about 10 minutes, Janet, and just turn your microphone on when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to follow my notes if you don't mind. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Good evening. I'm Janet Baird Jackson, and I'd like to tell you a bit about myself. I've remained fairly local, raised on a farm in Perth, earning degrees at Western and moving to Huron County, Oakwood Park, to begin a career with the then Huron County Board of Education, now Avon-Maitland District School Board. I finished my career as Superintendent of Corporate Services, and during that time moved to Oakwood Links Lane when my husband passed away, always preferring to remain on the north side of Grand Bend in Huron County due to traffic issues. I'm here as a board member representing Oakwood Links Lane residents, the closest neighbors to the planned Solhaven development. We appreciate councillors are wrestling with a complex decision, given your 3 major roles of representative, policymaker, and steward. But this is about a lot more than installing a sewer and building houses. Until there's a lot of work done on Highway 21, and particularly the bridge in Grand Bend, traffic issues will continue to be problematic. Where is the impetus to further development north of the Solhaven plan development if permanent residents must continue to fight this traffic daily? And as we understand, Solhaven is still waiting for the MTO to respond on the proposed north and southbound turning lanes, which inclusion formed part of the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment approvals by council. This situation would seem to indicate that there is time before building begins and sewers are installed to ascertain actual need for new sewer capacity for phase 2 and possibly phase 1 if required, plus the true potential for further development to the north within the next 20+ years, including analysis of need, market conditions and demographics, and financial implications for South Huron and its ratepayers. At the time of the OPA and ZBA applications, it was understood that there was sufficient capacity in the pumping station to address phase 1 of the Trident development. We understand that there's been no real change in density since, so are questioning this new requirement for the trunk sewer. If phase 1 could proceed based on the pumping capacity being sufficient, it would provide time to assess the sewer requirements ahead of phase 2. In the OPA and ZBA process, Trident indicated their overall plan was to build 275 to 395 dwelling units. This is in addition to the Rice Group developing their site on the north side of 81 and Pateo Medway Homes building on the south side of 81. Additionally, another big developer has been installing services behind the Van Dongen subdivision on the north side of Klondike Road, but continuing to crop the land while waiting for the market to come back. So it appears there's ample supply of building stock already available and underway. In fact, one developer is already offering real estate agents a $10,000 incentive in addition to regular commissions to move his residential stock in Park Hill and Grand Bend. Indicative, it would seem, of a flat and shrinking market at this time. The demographic work that Watson and Associates is currently undertaking for Huron County would be helpful in identifying population trends and assist decision-making. Avon-Maitland has contracted with Watson's for a number of years to aid in analysis of school-age populations, school capacities, and infrastructure needs. As a matter of interest, Avon-Maitland posted the latest data in a virtual public dashboard based on the most current census. That's the 2021 year. The South Huron planning area, as defined, includes a portion of Bluewater, Hensel, Zurich, and over to the lakeshore, as well as the municipality of South Huron, and showed a change from 2016 of -35 total population and an increase of +91 residences, a net out-migration of population with an increase in housing available. This net out-migration aligns with a statement made by Trident's consultant, Enberry Lyons, in February 2021. And I quote, "The data indicates that South Huron is not experiencing the level of market forecasted by the development charges background study. The area seems to attract mainly cottagers who can afford a second home and retirees with family to a much lesser degree. Even those retirees, as they get older, seem to return to major centers with full-service hospital to meet their needs. Perhaps Watson and Associates' work will also address the profiles of people in the South Huron area. The issue of financial stability and decision-making deserves consideration. Reviewing the 2021 South Huron Asset Management Plan, it appears that South Huron has a rate-funded balance of some 1.3 million in sewer reserves, with a current debt outstanding for sanitary sewer system of some 9.5 million. Perhaps this is the debenture from 2005 referenced in the last council meeting. While it is an easy response to say there are reserves to pay for oversizing the Grand Bend trunk sewer, perhaps the question should be whether there or not there is a better use for these reserves. Avon-Maitland was no stranger to having to analyze competing priorities for the best use of scarce funds, and I can't imagine the municipality is any different. Are there other development projects potentially closer to fruition and therefore tax revenue generating potential for South Huron, which should be earmarked for these remaining reserves? There is risk in council thinking it has to compete with other municipalities at the expense of focusing on data, current and projected, to plan for and maintain solid development in South Huron. If, after rigorous analysis of all the data, the final decision is to proceed with the oversizing, we trust that South Huron will require solid security, that is bonding, from Trident to protect South Huron from the risk of exposure on the estimated 1.8 million cost of the trunk sewer, as our owners have no intention of being drawn into any financial obligations. In closing, we want to share a W. Edward Deming quote. It's something that we certainly referenced in the school board. In God we trust, all others must bring data. Thank you for your time and attention to our issues.
Thank you very much for your delegation. Are there any questions from members of council at this time? Not seeing any. Well, thank you very much, Janet, for your presentation, and we appreciate your time. Well, Ms. Masula Carlson, recommendation, please.
That South Huron Council receives a delegation from Huron Standard Condominium Corporation Number 7, Oakwood Links Lane, regarding the proposed Grand Bend Trunk Sewer Extension as presented by Janet Baird Jackson.
And a mover, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. 5.2, welcome Ms. Cole to present her delegation, please. Yeah, welcome.
Oh, that's procedure 5. Let's start my little watch thing here. Through you, Mayor Finch, thank you for the opportunity tonight to discuss community safety and well-being. I'm going to look at it from a bigger scope than the male perspective. Communication to date, on the next slide, please, is started on September the 1st this year until September, going back to July of 2022. It completed the second report because I was concerned with the safety issues of the steps that protrude into the walkway, the only fire exit in the arena in Stephen. The response that I got from the report was, it will be monitored. So on September the 5th, I was helping with public skating, and I was in one of the new dressing rooms helping kids change their skates. And I was literally shocked to find the shower with 3 heads in it. I couldn't believe that council built again what the New Stadia people had said was outdated showers that is geared for camaraderie between males. There's one shower stall. There's a little room with a toilet and an open concept alcove. Since I'd put in a request to the local community and safety well-being, and because I had not received any responses from them indicating anyone who was aware of the features of the build, I would put a request in for the information for reports and pertaining to the fire and the building code as it would pertain to the Stephen Arena stairs. So I received that information, and it's in your package from the last meeting, and you will notice the picture of the steps, and you will notice the fire inspections or the lack of, including the lack of building inspections, which I'm sure some of you are quite familiar needs to be done. Since then, there has been no actions or comments at council meetings, And so then we would reference the new Stadia report that we spent $45,000 on that suggested that gang showers were outdated. And council's only response to the opening of the new facility reconstruction was that staff did a great job in completing this project so quickly. So let's check in with the next slide on the Stephen Arena. The fire plan was done in March of 2022. The fire inspection was done February of 2023. Those were in the November 6th meeting. Enclosed also in that package was the picture of the steps protruding into the only outlet from that seating capacity of a $2,000 build, 2,000 capacity build for that arena. And you'll notice the fire exits were on the in your package as well, saying that people would exit from the east to the west. I don't think that happens in this one. The number 2 point is the construction update for the building was presented to council on June the 6th. And they would have noticed then that there needed to be some compensation or some changes made to the seating arrangements. And there was a committee that would have looked at that, I think. And someone would have asked about the building code for the sign off of barrier-free access to travel and the seating of public spaces. I'm not sure if anyone has attended the Pink on the Rink in Huron Park this weekend. Anyone seen how that works, that flow of traffic of people going into the arena, holding the door open, and yet it's an accessible move? I don't know. Let's check in on the South Huron Rec Center. The last fire plan, according to the reports that I received, has not been done since July of 2021. There have been no inspections handed in from the request that I had in that time period. There's no comments about sprinkler systems that have been identified in the fire master plan as being so important in helping to prevent fires in public spaces. The second point of the check-in to the South Huron Rec Center is the 100 seats that were removed, and that information came from the new Stadia report, suggesting that the seats would be removed. There's nothing from the new Stadia report that indicates that those need to remove. However, what we have now is a ramp and some portable chairs. The alcove still is missing on the doors. So what appears is we've built more of the same dressing rooms and less accessible seating for anyone that wants to watch any ice entertainment. Are the building codes inspections completed to date as we open up our new arenas? Let's share some outcome measurements and the thoughts of transparency. So I'm looking for council to support some documentation on the website that would suggest that we have had compliance with the Accessibility of Ontario Disabilities Act and the report of the annual Ministry Seniors and Disabilities that's due December 31st, 2023. When you Google or look into the website, you will be referred to the Huron County website. The last report was in 2022, and I have a copy of that if you would like to read it or if you find it on the website. I'd like to see some documentation of the compliance with the South Huron accessibility policy regarding design of public spaces as it relates to the building code. Some measures that also would be important are reports aligning the recommendations of the fire master plan. It clearly identified that there's a need to do inspections. Reports aligning with the Ontario Recreations Facility, which I will get into on the next slide. Nothing builds everyone closer to one another than shared experiences. And I wonder if our council would consider sharing what we have done in South Huron with the Huron County Community and Safety Wellbeing Committee that I've asked for the last 2 years. Could someone take that to them and share with them how, and ask them how having one officials room and having gang showers actually supports the federal government's funding on preventing gender biased violence. There's a connection there in that community plan. How does council feel about sharing that information or the information from the Ontario Recreation Facilities Association? The reality is that girls in hockey do not get the same access, opportunities, and resources as boys do. Something as simple as having a safe locker room isn't even a guarantee. And again, all of that information can be backed up on the website for the Ontario Recreation Facilities Association, which you belong to and is supported by AMO. Again, nothing builds everyone closer to one another than shared experiences. Why doesn't South Huron just not bring their accessibility or all of their building projects to the Huron County Accessibility team? What are you afraid of? Is there something holding you back from bringing any of your projects forward as is stipulated in your policies and is the law? Let's start working together. So it's time to seek some community output and maybe talk to some young females about how they feel about what you've done to them. For our community risk reduction plan to be successful, ongoing fire inspections are a necessity. I ask that you maybe suggest some of these topics to the Solicitor General when you're speaking to them about our safety and well-being in South Huron. Maybe seek advice from the Huron County Accessibility Committee and ask the South Huron Recreation Committee Build Committee if they would look at putting a door on the alcove. It's so simple to fix up what you have created. And when you're looking at it, maybe look at what's left in the budget. Rather than having it go to the men's ball diamond for lights, maybe you could fix up the rec center for the females. And again, I ask that you look at what the building code is saying and what is needed to be done. Safety is your #1 priority. I've heard it time and time again. Would you like to leave a legacy of build it first and beg forgiveness later? Or are you looking for a legacy of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Any questions from members of council? No, not seeing. Thank you very much for your presentation.
So I would take it that everything that I presented must be agreeable with council, or they would have questions.
Well, as
So
you know,
thank you.
after delegation, we wait till the next council meeting.
That's okay. No, if there's no questions for me, then I take it that there's no need for clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, Ms. Masuo Collison, please.
The South Huron Council receives a delegation regarding the South Huron Recreation Center, SHRC, and Stephen Arena accessibility and building fire code requirements and expectations as presented by Maureen Cole.
And is there a mover for that, please? Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call a question. All in favor? That carries with 6. Thank you. Moving right along, no public meeting. Go to 7.1, please.
The South Huron Council adopts the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 20th, 2023 as printed and circulated.
And is there a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 6. Thank you. 8, please.
Okay, 8.1 and then 8.2. I'll read the recommendation that the minutes, agendas, draft budgets of the following committees and or boards be received as presented to council. Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, agenda package of November 28th, 2023. Draft minutes of October 31st, 2023. Draft 2024 budget. Committee of the Whole minutes of November 15th, 2023.
Is there a mover, please? Moved by Counselor Neeb, seconded by Counselor Oak. Any discussion? Counselor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just, we have a representative from Perth South who actually looks after South Huron's interests for the Upper Thames Conservation Authority. I don't know how much opportunity everyone had in looking through all of these reports to note that there's a couple of things that were a bit surprising to me in terms of a 28% increase is being asked for from a budget perspective. I know that the actual dollar amount is not huge. It's just over 30. It's about $3,100, but it's still a 28% increase. So I think it's kind of important for us to be able to go back to our contact in Perth South to find out what's really driving these kinds of figures in terms of, it's a pretty hefty increase, if you will. Also note, and there's a spot later on in the agenda when we're talking about the MOU in the bylaw section, that about 1,200 of that is actually relating to the actual category 3, since they've split that out. Yeah, so perhaps more discussion, or have more to say when we get to that part, but I'm thinking as well, what is the value that South Huron actually gets for that $1,221, particularly when 3/4 of it is for education and outreach. So those were the only comments I really wanted to make at this point, but I think we need to go to our contact and get some more information.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sewell-Carlson, any comment on that? Or go to Counselor Ted? Oak, Counselor Oak.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councillor Vaughn that some more information is needed. You know, the regular increase is around 15% without the category 3, and adding that in, it brings it up to 27-28%. So yeah, that's a hefty percentage when our colleagues at Sabo Bayfield was 2.69% this year, including the Cat 3 numbers. So I want to know why the percentage increase. It's unfortunate that we didn't have this budget before they made their delegation last council meeting, because these would have been some of the questions I would have asked at that time. But we still have time. We don't have to sign an MOU tonight or agree to an MOU tonight. That's a council decision to whether we defer that to a further meeting or not. But until we get more information, and be good to know what our conservation rep that I think covers both us, Perth South and St. Mary's, I think covers all 3. What his thoughts are on, because I went through some of the increases for all the different municipalities, and it's hefty for everybody. So just I think yeah, just wondering what's going on there. So
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Oak. Madam, Mr. Sewell-Carlson.
If Councillor Vaughn kind of drafted up a resolution based on what you had noticed, so that council directs staff to reach out to our joint representative. It's Jim Craigmile, to Upper Thames Conservation Authority, to obtain more information on the percentage increase in the budget and information on Category 3 services in South Huron.
Satisfied with that?
I think that's a great motion. Thank you, Rebecca, for that. Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
moved.
Now, we currently have the other motion under, on the table. Madam Clerk, do we do with that with first and then go back to Councillor Vaughn's motion? Okay, very well. We'll hold that motion then. Are there any other questions at this point on the current motion? Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. And then Councillor Vaughn's motion, everyone's satisfied. They've heard it. Councillor Oak will second it. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on that? Not seeing any. Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Okay, are you all caught up? Very well. Thank you. Ms. Masua Collison, please.
The council received the draft minutes of the November 22nd, 2023 Fire Service Advisory Committee as presented and approved the Fire Service Advisory Committee's recommendations as follows. As staff explore the following options in detail with Infrastructure Ontario regarding the Huron Park Fire Station, 421 Canada Ave, transferring the ownership of lands back to IO if acceptable, and declaration of surplus lands and releasing the property for purchase before the end date of the restrictive covenant agreement 2029, and that a detailed staff report be brought back to council outlining the options for consideration.
And do we have a mover? Councillor Oak moves it. Councillor Neeb seconds it. Discussion. Councillor Oak, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I guess the detail on this recommendation or the highlight would be the detailed staff report coming back to council, and I would suggest maybe coming back to the committee of the whole, that we have asked to have a committee of the whole sometime early next year on the whole fire scenario, because there's a number of other options that were presented to the committee for that, but the bottom line were these were the only 2 items or 2 scenarios that really made sense that we could move forward with. So but I think it would be good to have that. So I think the key here is the staff report coming back to all of council at the upcoming committee of the whole meeting. Maybe, I don't know if we could change that, be brought to council at a committee of the whole meeting, or should we just leave it the way the motion reads?
Ms. Masua Collison, comment?
If there's a friendly amendment between yourself and Councillor Neeb, we can change that, amend that to the committee of the whole to provide that report at the same time, if that's council's wish.
Councillor Oak, are you okay with that? Councillor Neeb, thank you. Friendly amendment. Any further discussion? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, I know we're talking about a committee of the whole for the fire services. Have we actually thought about when we might have that?
Ms. Masua Collison.
I'll have to consult with GM Becker, the fire chief, in the first quarter for sure. Just not sure whether it'd be February or March.
Okay, so one thought kind of comes to mind, which is the Roma conference, and I'm just wondering if I remembered hearing something about we might want to be presenting or at least discussing this whole Huron Park land situation at the Roma with some ministers. Does that have a negative impact in terms of? Yeah.
Councillor Oak.
Yeah, the committee had discussed that if we get in front of Lisa Thompson, just to explain what's going on with that property. And so some of the scenarios that Infrastructure Ontario has presented back to us with that property and some of the challenges we're having with that property. So I think that was the main discussion. If we happen to get in front of the Solicitor General or whatever, there were some other topics that we were looking at doing, but this was more potentially if we get in front of Lisa at Roma, just to high level have a discussion on, give her the history of that property and what steps we're going through. Now, I think just to your other point about the timing of the committee of the whole, I think we were also waiting for the condition assessments to come back the final condition assessments of the buildings. And I'm not sure, we're waiting for the company to let us know when the final versions are going to be available, I think.
Ms. Masuda Carlson?
That is correct. We're still waiting for the final, and then it'll be presented to all of council, all of the building condition assessments. And as far as staff can add the discussion, this discussion, if we are successful with a delegation to Lisa Thompson. We can do that at a staff level when we prepare the briefing.
Very well. Any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Nope, good. And it's moved and seconded. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? And it carries with 6. Thank you. Ms. Masuda Carlson, 9.1.1, I believe.
That South Huron Council receives the report from Craig Metzger, Senior Planner, Rehousing Update to South Huron Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carries with 6. Thank you. 9.2, 9.3, and 9.4, into 9.4.1, please.
That South Huron Council receives a report from Jay Warwick, Director of Financial Services, re 2023 carryover projects. And that South Huron Council authorizes that the following list of 2023 approved projects be carried forward to the 2024 fiscal year for completion. And that the balance of the 2023 budget allowances for each of the respective projects be carried forward to the 2024 fiscal year. Water wastewater master plan, active transportation grant, 2009 GMC Fire Command Unit replacement, Exeter Cemetery Fence Project, Port Blake Revitalization, Dashwood Community Center Playground Equipment, Stephen Arena Evaporative Condenser Unit Replacement, Stephen Arena Chiller Replacement, South Huron Rec Center Roof Replacement, Kirkton Wood and Pool Accessibility, Main Street North Reconstruction Connecting Links, Centralia Community Center Park Amenities, and South Huron Rec Center Upgrades.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Councillor Oak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a comment that it looks like we're finally starting to catch up. Yes, there's a lot of projects here, but it's a lot smaller list than last year in the carryover. So I think the COVID hangover is starting to be caught up as far as supply chain issues and so that's good news that we're getting closer to getting things done as one of the priorities is finishing what we started. So I'm happy that it's going in the right direction.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so looking at the list here of all of the projects that are being carried forward, I'm looking at the Q3 capital report and looking at what is it? The Victoria Street reconstruction. Back at the end of Q3, this was like 60% done, and there was some discussion around moving hydro poles and not necessarily moving anything to do with the existing stone pillars. And so I'm just wondering that I don't see that on here as a carry forward. So will we be done with that by the end of 2023 as a capital project? Or
Ms. Masuda Carlson?
I'm wondering if General Manager Guyberson is on.
Mr. Guyberson, would you be there? There he is. Welcome, Mr. Guyberson.
Good evening, Mayor Finch, members of council. So just to be perfectly clear, the reconstruction of Victoria Street East is on your 10-year, the proposed 10-year capital forecast to commence in 2025, and the top asphalt be placed in 2026. So the 2024 capital project is to relocate the hydro poles only.
Great, thank you. Follow up, Counselor Vaughn?
Okay, so what was in 2023 can fall to the wayside because we've got 2024 dealing with it. Okay.
Okay.
And just give me one more second here. Yeah, it's a similar kind of question around the project and again, Mr. Giberson, the sewage lagoon filter building pumping station. There was the project's 80% done, but the money's less than half spent. And so I'm just wondering about that particular project, if there's a need for carrying forward some of these funds.
Mr. Giberson?
Through you, Mayor Finch, no, there is no need to carry over either one of these projects. The filter building, as noted in my op notes, the filter building project is complete, operational, and is being commissioned, and training is going on this week. So the Q3 financial is as of at the end of October. But as of today, the project is entirely complete. So there's no need to carry over that project.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to be sure.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Giberson? Okay, very good. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. 9.4.2.
The South Huron Council receives a report of Julia Warwick, Director of Financial Services, re 2023 year-end fund transfers. And that South Huron Council authorizes the treasurer to make the following financial adjustments at year-end. A, that funds levied through the 2023 capital and operating budgets approved by council, which are not spent as specified in the budget, be transferred to the appropriate reserve. B, that accounting transfers of any 2023 year-end surplus or deficits in each budgeted department be transferred to or from reserves or reserve funds as part of the treasurer's year-end procedures. C, that were funds approved in the 2023 budget to be allocated from the reserve fund for projects that were not completed or projects where the cost was below the budgeted amount, that those funds be left in the reserve and not be transferred to the revenue fund.
A mover, please. Moved by Counselor Neeb, seconded by Counselor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. 9.4.3.
That council receives a report from Alex Wolf, acting clerk, re-land lease agreement with 2923 Huron Middlesex Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps. And that South Huron Council approves the draft land lease agreement with 2923 Huron Middlesex Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps. And that the required bylaw be brought back for the required 3 readings.
And a mover, please. Moved by Counselor Neeb, seconded by Counselor Vaughn. Any discussion? Counselor Oak, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering if we could get a little bit more detail as far as the moving of the location and from what was a less busy road to you know, one of the busiest roads in our municipality. And there's a comment about a 10-year lease, and I'm just wondering if that could, in the past, it's been 5 years, and in light of, we're not sure what we might be doing with our landfill expansion, and down the road, 10 years seems like a long time to have a lease agreement. So just wondering, some just high-level comments about those items.
Ms. Masul-Carlson, you want to take that?
I think maybe to start with, I can maybe ask General Manager Giberson to maybe provide some information on the landfill piece, at
Mr.
least.
Giberson.
Yes, through you, Mayor Finch. The land in question that the cadets are going to be using is the land outside of the landfill property. So it is the land that is immediately east of the landfill site. And it's the land that's been reforestated between the land that we rent to a local farmer, and west of the land is the actual landfill property. So the landfill expansion will not, cannot legally expand beyond the borders of the landfill site property itself. So this land that's proposed to be used by the Army cadets is in the buffer zone, or the what's called the CAS zone. It's a monitoring zone on the outskirts of the actual landfill site property. The cadets were originally using the landfill property and moved to the AuSable line property. So this is a move back to where they used to operate, but it's in a better location on the site. Our AuSable line property is not the most suitable site for the cadets to use. And we are preparing that site to accept fill from our reconstruction projects. So the use is not really compatible with the cadets' use.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Giberson. Any other questions? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's sort of in line with Councillor Oak's question about a more populated area. I don't really know what the cadets actually do on this land, and so my question is: are they using firearms or weaponry in that area with any of their exercises?
Mr. Giberson, would you know?
Yes, through you, Mayor Finch, I can assure you they are not discharging firearms. My understanding of the use of the property, it's day use, and it is for the cadets to learn survival skills and those kind of related duties.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Deputy Mayor, go ahead, please.
Just wondered if there's a way out, like we talked about the 10-year lease, is there a way out for both parties if something happens in between, or?
Mr. Giberson, would you know, or Madam Clerk, would you please?
Yes, so there is a clause in the agreement under 5.1 that notice could be provided 10 days notice to either party, just about a possible change in the agreement or possible use. So there is notice requirements set in there in the event that either party is possibly interested in changing or terminating that agreement.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. If there's no further questions, we have a mover and a seconder. Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 5. Thank you very much. Next on the list, please, 9.4.4.
The South Huron Council receives report from Alex Wolf, acting clerk, read 2024 council meeting and holiday schedule, and that the 2024 council meeting and holiday calendar be approved as presented.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Councillor Oak.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just wanting to reconfirm the months of January, July, and August. We only have one council meeting scheduled for those months. Subject, I guess, at the call of the chair to have a second one. But I just wondering. Seems like nowadays when we only have one meeting in a month, that meeting seems to be excessive with the number of reports and items to deal with. So just wondering if that, asking the question whether that's still acceptable to have one meeting per month.
Any other comments from members of council in regards to one meeting a month for those 3 months? Councillor Vaughn.
Well, actually, in the July and August, there's 2 meetings, but they're not regular council meetings. One's regular, and then the other one is a combo of potentially public meeting and a committee of adjustment meeting. So I thought that was a little bit unique too. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really not sure when I think back on it, when we went to sort of one meeting per month in the summer. I won't speak for January because I think that's because of Roma that we do it there. But I'm not really too sure why we went to one meeting in the first place, because we haven't really been able to stick to that. We're always calling special meetings, and I personally have been kind of using that calendar to book time away and then finding out that that didn't work, because there is always a reason to bring the meeting back. So maybe we should just bite the bullet and stick with 2 meetings for at least for July,
We have AMO in August, as we know.
which is why I stopped at least for July, because that kind of fits with what we do with Roma in January.
Councillor Oak,
Well, I think January was because we're closed, the office is closed from between Christmas and New Year, so that there wasn't time to have the first Monday meeting because there isn't a report or a package prepared
Right.
for that time frame. I think is potentially why that one is deferred to the second week of January. So, but anyways, it's just an ask, because it seems like nowadays there's a lot of items and it's not slowing down. And you're right, we have a lot of committee of the holes and other meetings, it seems like. So I'm just asking the question if everybody's still comfortable with just one regular council meeting those 3 months.
Councillor Neve, you had a comment?
No, I was just gonna say, in the end of January is usually Roma as well, right? So there's usually a lot going on in the summer months, but I'm open to any extra meetings as needed. But if we were to call it and we didn't have enough for one meeting, then we could cancel it, I guess, too, right?
And of course, we have to always consider staff's commitments too for vacation, right? So I'll just look to council for any further discussion on this. A deputy.
I think we go with the schedule that's here, and if we need an extra meeting, we just, the chair calls it. It's not, to me, it's no different than being on the schedule. So I'm good with what's looking here.
Councillor Neve, you had a comment?
No, I'm okay with that. I could 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So
Very well. So if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. Oh, Councillor Dietrich, go ahead, please.
This doesn't do anything, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but doesn't have anything to do with the council meetings, but I was wondering about when we have budget in October there. It's kind of busy for the 3 of us, October. I wonder if you couldn't move that on to November instead of October. It's just, you got a year to think about it. I just thought I'd bring that up.
I appreciate that, Councillor
Thank you.
Dietrich. Yeah, thank you. Any other comments at all? Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Okay, we turn to Madam Clerk. Any notice the motion you're aware of?
There are none.
Items for discussion arising from the previous meetings, Madam Clerk.
There was a couple delegations. There was ABCA, the draft budget, and Upper Thames cost apportioning agreement.
Comments in regards to that? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you. New business. Is there any new business at all? Not seeing any. Thank you. Mayor and councillor comments and announcements. Any comments from members of council? Councillor Neve, go ahead.
just wanted to thank the South Huron Fire Department for their responses over the last, I believe, week or so. There's been two fires in Exeter here, and I was actually on my way to work this morning, and I got there just as they arrived to Victoria Street. So I wanted to thank them for always being there, and as well to remind everyone to make sure they have their fire alarms. I think in one of the cases in the last week, one of the homes did not have a fire alarm, and that's they're very lucky to still have their property and their life. But again, just a reminder to all residents to make sure that they have an updated and charged fire alarm.
Always good advice for sure. Any other comments? Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just wanted to congratulate South Huron Minor Hockey for Pink in the Rink tournament this weekend. 67 teams, 4 rinks being used. Zurich, Hensel, Stephen and South Huron Rec Center. So well run and orchestrated again. And so wanted to congratulate them for the economic spin-off that is created in South Huron when those occur.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Deputy, go ahead.
Just a comment, we had a photo op the other day, the mayor and I were out to the greenhouse for the paved shoulders. Excellent job that they have done. They're waiting for the lines because right now, and I think we need to put the reminder out there, this is not done for a 4-lane highway. This was done for the workers and their bicycles. And I'm hearing stories about people using it for 4-lane highway. And I hope that stops. If not, we'll have to take different measurement. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, and of course, it's all about safety. And I know the workers were just extremely grateful. They couldn't thank us enough the fact that we actually thought about them, I believe is the word they use. So it's just nice to see that people are appreciating what we can do as a local and county government for them. Councillor Vaughn, you had a comment?
I did. I just wanted to add one little thing since that discussion just came into being. I know we have paved the shoulders and I understand why we've done that, but from an MTO perspective, under their Highway Traffic Act, I thought that paved shoulders actually allowed, not for a 4-lane highway, but allowed for traffic to pass vehicles, because they certainly do that on the Highway 21 in Grand Bend. And we have been told we can't use those shoulders for bike lanes or walking lanes because the MTO in their Traffic Act actually allows those paved shoulders to be used by traffic. They're not for bike lanes. They're not for people. So I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how you can say cars can't use them.
So that's a roadway, that's a paved shoulder. A roadway is the delegated roadway itself, eh? So I think it's 3.2 meters is the width of a roadway, or that's less than a roadway, the pavement. So it's a paved shoulder. So they can, it's not a bike lane. If it was a bike lane, it has to be, there's different minimum maintenance standards for a bike lane that's designated as such. But a paved shoulder is really just a paved shoulder at the end of the day. You can't travel on it as a path people. That would be pass off roadway.
Wow.
Hey there, go ahead.
It's just confusing. I think it's confusing to people in cars, to people on bikes, to people who are walking, because nobody's out there with a measuring tape measuring this paved shoulder as versus that paved shoulder. Yeah.
Councillor Oak.
And I agree, there will be confusion, and there's a lot of people that are coming from outside of the area here on that road in the summer. There'll have to be an education component, I'm sure. But it is a county road and not a provincial highway, so it falls under a different category than an MTO road as well. But again, it isn't wide enough what got paved as a lane, but there will be people that will be going around, especially if there's a lineup of traffic. I can just see that happening. So there will have to be an education piece for sure. So
Can't control human behavior, that's for sure. That's just the way it is. So, but any other questions then? Councillor Vaughn?
None on that, but I did want to mention that I did have the opportunity to go to our community Christmas concert just this past Friday night that was in Exeter. I understand there was one in Grand Bend as well, but couldn't go to that one. So went to the Exeter one. It was also meant to be one of the last pieces of celebration for our Exeter 150. Anyway, it was a great concert. It was very well attended. We had an excellent soloist. Catherine Neeb was a soloist, and we also had something new and different in terms of we had a children's choir And that was a first, I understand, and they were absolutely excellent. It was very refreshing to see them all singing with great glee on that evening. So I just wanted to mention that was great concert, and be another one in the spring for anybody who's paying attention.
For sure. Any other comments? Okay, not seeing any. So yeah, I was at both concerts, the one in Grand Bend and one in Exeter, and very well attended. And again, just really reassuring to see these young people performing and building great self-esteem for them. It was just amazing. And Catherine Neve is quite a soloist for sure. Yeah, I can tell you that. She's a very good singer. I also was able to attend the Hollandaise Christmas concert at the Centralia Faith Tabernacle in Centralia on the weekend. Very well attended also, and just another good show. Beauty and the Beast is this weekend at the Rec Center, so I'm helping out with that. And I think that's pretty much all I have. Any other comments from members of council? Councilor Oak?
Yeah, just on the Beauty and the Beast, as far as I know, the tickets are all sold out for all 3 shows. So that's congratulations to the organizers. It's great to see.
Yeah, for sure. It was good to see. And I took a bit of a pink on the rink for a few minutes there to see what's going on there. Lots of excitement in the arena. So lots of stuff on the go in South Huron, which is good to see. If there's nothing further, we'll move on to communications. And Ms. Masua Carlson, you want to call them out, please?
14.1. 14.2.
Pull.
14.3, and that's 14.31 to 14.3.17.
Oh,
14.4, and that's 14.4.1 to 14.4.6.
oh,
14.5,
Pull that.
14.6, 14.7, 14.8, 14.9,
Pull that, please.
14.10, 14.11.
Very well. Councilor Neve, if you'll be excused for a moment. And Councilor Oak, go ahead, please. Your microphone, please.
So
Microphone.
sorry. The South Huron Eco Exeter, I think the report there, and there's been a lot of news about the video, the taping of the documentary that they're working with, and it's going to be debuted at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it's going to be also broadcast on CBC. I'm just wondering if we could get the South Huron Eco Exeter to come to council and recognize them officially. It would be nice because they've done a lot of good work. There's been a clothing swap that they just had where students brought clothing and they sort of thrifted to try to keep clothing out of the landfills and things. So there's a lot of great initiatives that they're doing, and I think it'd be great to recognize them on behalf of council and all the work that and the publicity that they're bringing to this area with some of the work they're doing.
And do you need a resolution for that, Ms. Carlson? You're fine with that?
Oh, I think the community manager, Stacy, and myself, we can come up with something for that.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. And we'll call Mr. Need back in. Here he comes. Welcome back, Mr. Need. We're at 14.2, and I think you and I wanted that pulled. Did you want to discuss that?
Thank you, Mayor Finch. I'm just wondering, in the letter, it asked for collaboration on the connecting link, and I was just wondering what the next steps would be from council, whether we required a resolution to move forward or what was needed to start this process.
I'll see Mr. Giverson, Ms. Masua Carlson.
I think to start the process, if council would direct a staff report to be brought back to council with an overview of the project and next steps for council consideration.
Councillor Oak, comment?
I guess before we can comment, we probably have to have a resolution on the table or for the staff report or.
We can, just if you had a quick comment on.
Yeah, just a comment. I agree. It's just because I think this is one of the budget items that we have and that's going to potentially change the budget item. So I think it needs to be addressed sooner than later, or else that budget. I know that there's a priority to get that connecting link project out for tender as quick as possible. So I don't know if this will hold it up, because I do believe we really don't know what the plan is for that property, and it could change the size of the oversizing depending on what the scope of that project is for that, whether it's all residential or half residential and half commercial industrial or all commercial industrial. It'll change the sizing of that pipe. So I don't know how we can, I guess, looking for comment on how do we decide the sizing of that pipe when it's going in the ground here.
So maybe we just look towards the staff report perhaps. Ms. Masula-Carlson?
Yes, and I have talked to General Manager Giverson as well about the timing on it, and he feels that this timing can work, and we can make changes later if necessary, like an amendment to the RFP if needed.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Neebe will move that, I take it?
Yeah, yes.
And Madam Clerk, could you read the recommendation, please?
That South Huron Council direct a report to provide council an overview of the project and next steps for council consideration on the CVD Exeter Inc. request.
So moved.
So moved. Councillor Oak, did you want to second that? Seconded by Councillor Oak. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Okay. On to the next one. Miss Councillor Vaughn, you wanted the next one's pulled?
Yes, I just wanted to thank the members of the community out in the Lakeshore area that continue to give us their thoughts and so forth on the proposed trunk line and the oversizing. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's included on the 14.4 also then?
Yes, it is different topic, but yes, some good ideas that are probably going to be very helpful to us as we start thinking about the official plan going forward. So thanks for those comments.
Okay, thank you. And 14.5, I've asked for that to be pulled. And just turn to Ms. Masula-Carlson for discussion on that, please.
Staff have noted that they do support this Huron Clean Water Project Review Committee letter supporting the fragmites management.
So would somebody like to move that we support that? Councillor Neebe moves it. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Vaughn, any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Okay, moving right along into the recommendation, I believe.
Did
Oh,
you
sorry,
pull
14.9, yes. Sorry, yeah, wrong page here. Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can support that also. Ms. Masula-Carlson, any comments on that before we move forward?
No comments other than just to read the end part of it is to ensure that all tenants benefit from protections intended to preserve affordability. And a copy was being sent to the Premier, Paul Calandra, Robert Flack, the Associate Minister of Housing, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, all municipalities of Ontario. And if we want to add Lisa Thompson, we can do that as well.
Okay, and we'll just need somebody that will move that rather than Councillor Neebe and Councillor Oak seconds it. And any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you to all. And the recommendation, please, Ms. Masula-Carlson, when you're ready.
As South Huron Council received communication items not otherwise dealt with.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neebe, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you. closed session, we have none. No reporting from closed session, therefore 17.1, please.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 69-2023, being a bylaw to assume that portion of McNaughton Drive east of Andrew Street in the municipality of South Huron.
And a mover, please. Counselor Neeb, seconded by Counselor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carries with, keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 4, 5. We're 5 now. Thank you. Counselor, are you in, Counselor Dietrich? Okay. Counselor carries with 6. Thank you. Yeah, I did look. I thought, oh, don't see his hand up. So, yeah, you need it up and stay it up. Yeah. 17.2, please.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 70-2023, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into an amended police services contract with the Solicitor General through the Ontario Provincial Police.
And is there a mover for that, please? Counselor or Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder? Counselor Vaughn, any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. 17.3, please.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 71-2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a cost proportioning agreement between Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, UTRCA, and the Corporation of the Municipality of South Huron.
And a mover, please. Counselor. There's no mover?
No mover.
Is
I
there
believe we'll have a report.
discussion? Go ahead.
Could we defer this until we have our discussion? That would be my motion
To defer.
to defer.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to defer? Counselor Neeb, and discussion on that deferral only? Not seeing any. Call the question. All in favor to defer? Thank you very much. And what, do we have a date when that will be?
Not yet. I will try for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. 17.4, please.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 72-2023, being a bylaw to amend the South Huron official plan.
And a mover, please. Moved by Counselor Neeb and seconded by Counselor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. 17.5.
That South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 73-2023, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 69-2018.
And a mover, please. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Counselor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. Thank you.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 74-2023, being a bylaw to confirm matters addressed at the December 4th, 2023 council meeting.
And a mover, please. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Counselor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 6. 19.
The South Huron Council hereby adjourns at 7:13 PM to meet again on December 18th, 2023 at 6 PM or at the call of the chair.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Counselor Neeb. No discussion. Call the question. All in favor?